For the first year after she built her house, Miss Piggle Wiggle lived there all by herself, except for Wag and Lightfoot, and she was very lonely. Then one dark rainy afternoon, when she was baking sugar cookies and thinking how much fun it would be if she knew someone besides Wag and Lightfoot to invite for tea, she happened to look out of her kitchen window, and there, coming up the street in the pouring rain, dragging a big suitcase and bawling, was a little girl. Miss Piggle Wiggle wiped the flour off her hands and hurried right out into the rain and invited the little girl in for tea. The little girl's name was Mary Lou Robertson, and she was 8 years old and quite fat, and she was running away from home. She told Miss Piggle Wiggle all this after she had drunk 3 cups of cambric tea and eaten 7 sugar cookies. She said, "I'm running away from home because I hate to wash dishes. All I do is wash dishes. I am just a servant. Dishes, 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 wash, dry, put away. That's all I do. My mother doesn't love me at all. She isn't my real mother anyway. She probably got me out of an orphanage just to wash her dishes." Mary Lou began to cry again, so that the 8th sugar cookie got quite soggy before she finished it. Miss Piggle Wiggle said, "Isn't she your real mother?" Mary Lou said, "She says she is, but no real mother would make you wash dishes. Wash dishes, wash dishes." "Now that's a funny thing," said Miss Piggle Wiggle. "I mean, you're hating to wash dishes so much because, you see, I like to wash dishes. In fact, I enjoy washing dishes so much that a cause of great sorrow to me is the fact that the only dishes I must wash are for Wag, Lightfoot, and me. 3 or 4 dishes a meal. That is all. When I wash dishes, Mary Lou, I pretend that I am a beautiful princess with long, golden, curly hair." Mary Lou's hair was jet black and braided into 2 stiff little pigtails. "An apple-bottom skin and forget-me-not blue eyes. I have been captured by a wicked witch, and my only chance to get free is to wash every single dish and have the whole kitchen sparkly clean before the clock strikes. For when the clock strikes, the witch will come down and inspect to see if there is a crumb anywhere, if there are pots and pans that have been put away wet, if the silverware has been thrown in the drawer, if the sink has not been scrubbed out. The witch will have me in her power for another year." Miss Piggle Wiggle looked at the clock and jumped up. "It is 10 minutes to 4, Princess, and we have so much to do. Hurry, hurry, hurry." Mary Lou also jumped up and began carrying the tea things to the sink, and Miss Piggle Wiggle whisked them in and out of the dishwater, and Mary Lou dried them, and Miss Piggle Wiggle hurried as fast as she could and put the cookie things away, and every once in a while she would stop and say, "Hark, Princess, do you hear the thump of the witch's big gnarly cane?" Then Mary Lou, her braids bobbing up and down with excitement, would say, "I hear it, Princess. It is coming closer and closer." Soon the kitchen sparkled, the dishes were washed and dried and put away, and every crumb had been swept off the floor. Mary Lou even curled Lightfoot's tail neatly around her legs and smoothed Wag's fur. Just before the clock struck, Miss Piggle Wiggle said to Mary Lou, "Princess, I must leave you now, but show the witch your work, and oh, I do hope you will be freed." Show the picture. Then she went upstairs, and pretty soon down the stairs came a terrible old witch with a long black dress, a tall black cat, and a big gnarly black cane. Mary Lou was very scared until she saw the sparkly eyes of Miss Piggle Wiggle under the black cat. She showed the witch the kitchen, and the witch took out the cookie pans and carried them over to the light to see if they were clean and dry. She got down on her knees, squeaking like a rusty gate, to see if Mary Lou had swept under the stove. She felt inside the teacups to see if there was sugar in the bottoms, and she put on her glasses to examine the sink. But she could not find anything wrong, so she handed Mary Lou the key to the kitchen door and screeched out, "You are free, princess, but I will get you again, never fear." The witch clumped back up the stairs, and in a few minutes down came Miss Piggle Wiggle. "Well," said Miss Piggle Wiggle, "do you see why I like to wash dishes?" Mary Lou said, "Oh, Miss Piggle Wiggle, that was the most fun I've ever had." Mrs. Piggle Wiggle said, "Of course you can have more fun than I can because you have so many more dishes to wash." "If I only had more dishes and could take longer, I would be a princess with curly yellow long hair, apple blossom skin, blue eyes, and a beautiful voice, and I would sing sad songs over the dishpan. Also, if I had more dishes, I would have the witch ride through the night on a broomstick, and I would creep out on the back porch to see if she was coming. I could hear her land with a thump on the roof, and I would slip upstairs to see if she was going to slide down the chimney or thump down the stairs. Oh, there would be ever so many exciting things to pretend if only I had more dishes to wash." After a while, it stopped raining, and the sun came out. Mary Lou took her suitcase and went home. That night, her mother, it really was her mother, of course, almost fainted when she came out of the kitchen exactly 27 minutes after dinner, and Mary Lou was sweeping the floor, and all the dishes were washed and dried and put away, and everything was immaculate. Mrs. Robertson rushed in and called Mary Lou's father, and he came out to the kitchen and pretended to fall on the floor with surprise. And then he said to Mary Lou's mother, "I like your new maid, madam. In fact, she is so much better than Tilly Slopwash, who used to be here, that I think we should invite her to the moving picture show some early evening." Then Mary Lou told them all about Miss Piggle Wiggle, and Mary Lou's mother said, "Oh, yes, I remember seeing that odd little house. She sounds like a charming friend, and if you are certain that she invited you, you may go over there after school tomorrow." The next day after school, you all right?
Yeah, I just need to cough.
Go get a drink.
Okay.
Go right there, and I'll keep reading. The next day after school, Mary Lou went to see Miss Piggle Wiggle. She took her best friend, Kitty Wheeling, with her, and Miss Piggle Wiggle was very glad to see them and showed them through her upside-down house and served tea and cookies. Kitty said, her mouth full of cookie, "My worst trouble is bed making. I just cannot get them smooth. I'd much rather wash dishes like Mary Lou, but Mother won't let me change with my sister Sally, who washes the dishes, until I've learned to make beds properly. Oh, I just despise to make beds." Miss Piggle Wiggle poured herself another cup of tea, gave a saucer of cream to Lightfoot and 4 cookies to Wag, then said, "If you think you have a hard time making beds, Kitty, imagine how hard it is for me, you see. The cruel queen sleeps in my beds every night and inspects them every morning, and if she finds a single wrinkle, even one as big as a pin, she will have me thrown in a dungeon. Come upstairs and I'll show you how I have to make beds." They went upstairs, and Miss Piggle Wiggle threw the covers clear off the foot of one of her own beds. Then she had Kitty help her make it, and when they finished, it was smooth as the floor, no wrinkles. Miss Piggle Wiggle said, "The secret is to throw the covers way back. You simply cannot smooth up a bed, because if you do, there might be a wrinkle down by the foot, and of course the cruel queen will find it, and then down into the dungeon." Miss Piggle Wiggle took the bed all apart again and said, "Now, Kitty, you and Mary Lou make the bed while I tell the cruel queen you are ready for inspection." She went into the closet and shut the door. When she came out, just as Kitty and Mary Lou finished the bed, she was no longer Miss Piggle Wiggle, but the wicked, haughty, cruel queen. On her head she wore a glittering jeweled crown. Her hair hung down her back in deep waves. Around her shoulders she had a purple fur-trimmed robe, and on her face she wore a smile so cruel it made Kitty's teeth chatter. She stalked over to the bed and lay down. With her gold slippers she felt the bottom of the bed. With her ringed fingers, she felt the top of and the sides. She stood up, and with her scepter, she pulled back the spread to see if the pillows were wrinkled. Everything was perfect. The cruel queen's face became convulsed with fury. She yelled, "Not a wrinkle, not a single lump. I am furious, but never fear, little slaves. My day will come, and into the dungeon you will go. Come, my servants, we will go." Miss Piggle Wiggle stalked into the closet. That was the beginning of Mrs. Piggle Wiggle's friendship with the children. The next day, Mary Lou and Kitty's little brother Bobby and Bobby's friend Dickie went to Miss Piggle Wiggle's for tea. And the next day they came, and each brought someone else, and pretty soon every child in town had been or was going to Miss Piggle Wiggle's house. She showed Bobby how to sneak out and get the fireplace logs without being caught by the Indians. She showed Dickie how a lawnmower is really a magic machine that mows down the enemy millions and billions at a time. She taught Max how to take out the ashes without making a sound and without leaving a trace to show the train robbers who were on his trail that he and the sheriff had camped there that night. Mrs. Piggle Wiggle certainly knew how to make work fun, and she also knew that there are certain kinds of work that children love to do, even though they do not know how very well, like painting and ironing and cooking and carpentry. One day at Miss Piggle Wiggle's, there were 2 little girls baking cookies, one little boy baking a pie and getting flour on the floor and eating most of the dough, a little girl ironing in a very wrinkly fashion all of Miss Piggle Wiggle's clean clothes, 4 boys with paint on their faces and feathers in their hair, chopping kindling, and 2 boys painting the dog house. 2 boys painting the dog house, not the dog. 3 little girls darning old pirate socks of Mr. Piggle Wiggle's, and pirates everywhere, digging in the backyard, shooting and yelling, running through the house and grabbing hunks of raw cookie dough. Miss Piggle Wiggle was sitting over in a corner of the living room, sewing on doll clothes. She was wearing the jeweled crown, and Kitty Wheeling was standing beside her throne, which was a chair with a tablecloth draped over it, dripping her hairbrush in a glass of water and making Miss Piggle Wiggle's hair into long, wet curls. Kitty said, "Your Highness, shall I use the gold or the silver hairpins?" Miss Piggle Wiggle said, "Oh, let's use the ones with the diamonds in them. Hairdresser, they look better with this crown." Just then the telephone rang, and it was some mother wanting to know what to do with her little girl who wouldn't take a bath. And that is how Mrs. Piggle Wiggle got started with her wonderful cures. She told Hubert's mother about the won't pick up toys cure, Patsy's mother about the radish cure, Alan's mother about the slow eater tiny bite taker cure, Anne and Joan's mother about the fighter quarrelers cure, Dick's mother about the selfish boy cure, Mary's mother about the answer backer cure, and Bobby and Larry and Susan's mother about the never want to go to bedders cure. And that is chapter 1. And tomorrow we will read chapter 2 of Miss Piggle Wiggle.